Who's your commander?
Good luck.
Equip.
Move to combat. Resolves.
Right here.
Now, before you attack
Does
me,
anyone have an answer?
Well played.
Good game.
Hello, everyone. My name's DJ. This is the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, and today I'm going to buy some cards. I know, it's very weird of me to buy some Magic cards, but I am. I'm going to buy a bunch of Magic cards, and I thought I'd share which ones I'm buying with you. So let's find out together what cards are in my cart. The first thing I'm going to be purchasing today is Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Now, Uro is at an all-time low when it comes to price. Like at one point in time, it was $45, $50. It was crazy. And in Commander, it's just a little bit of an extra explore. I think a growth spiral would be better than Uro because I'm not chain escaping it over and over again. And so it really wasn't worth that super high price tag. But now at $10, at $11, yeah, I can pick up a couple Uros and put them in my decks. And I especially like that foil versions are only a couple dollars more, $12, $13. And I like foil versions of cards. So Uro's the first card in my cart. The next cards I'm focusing on have to do with the Commander pre-constructed deck. When the Commander precons come out, I'm usually just so focused on the brand new cards. I think we all care a lot about those high value reprints in there, but I kind of like to go through the deck lists and find cards that have significantly dropped in price that are pretty cheap, especially if they used to hold kind of a higher price because they might go up and a lot of them are Commander playable and I'd like to have a couple of them in my collection. So I've actually targeted a few of them from the most recent Commander decks. The first one is Jezal Goldmane. Jezal Goldmane is a cat warrior, it attacks, it's a 4/4, and it has this great activated ability if you go wide to make your creatures huge. I think it's pretty good, especially because now it's like 70 cents and before it was like $3. The next thing I'm interested in is Angler Turtle, 5 blue for a 5/7 hexproof turtle. This big old turtle, and creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. I like forced combat, and this used to be only printed as an M19 gift pack card, and it was about $1, and now it's 50 cents. And so I think it's a pretty cheap pickup for an interesting effect in blue. All right, those other two might be fringe playable in Commander, but this one's a staple. Chasm Skulker. 2 and a blue for a 1/1 squid horror. Whenever you draw a card, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and when it dies, you get that many squid creatures with Island Walk. It's a very cool card. And for a long time, it was $3 or $4, and now it's 60 cents with this most recent printing. This goes in +1/+1 counter decks. It goes in sea creature decks. It goes in horror decks. Like it's card draw decks and wheel decks. It can get huge. So Chasm Skulker is just a great pickup. I also found a couple copies of Midnight Clock for under $0.25. Now I know this has been reprinted quite a few times. It was in New Capenna Commander and Crimson Vow Commander. And so that also decreased the price down a lot, but it's one of the best blue mana rocks out there. And so finding a couple copies under $0.25 is great for my collection. All right, next up might be the biggest price drop of any card in the Commander Precon. It's Calculating Lich. 4 black for a 5/5 menacing zombie. Whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents, that player loses 1 life. Calculating Lich was only released in Game Night 2019, and it was $11.50, and I can pick up one of these right now for around 40 cents. That $11.40 all the way down to 40 cents. But in all honesty, if this is in like zombie decks, it's going to be really good because usually zombies are little, they're like 2/2s or 3/2s or whatever. Zombies are pretty little. This is a big chonky zombie, and it also contributes to people attacking each other. And I like that a lot. So belongs in attacking decks, forced combat decks, zombie decks. Really excited about this card. The next card I'm picking up a couple copies of. Do you know what? Yep. Coffee break. Coffee break. The next card I'm picking up a couple copies of is Curtain's Call. Originally printed in Commander 2016, this hasn't seen any reprints since then, and it was sitting around $7. And now you can get one for under $2. I'm going to pick up a couple copies because this synergizes with a lot of different decks. First off, it's efficient removal. I like that. And because it uses Undaunted, it has this really high mana cost. And so if you're flipping this over with something like a Twilight Prophet or 6 mana Sorin, even like Vile Smasher, stuff like that. So it has this big mana cost, but you're really not paying that much for pretty good value. Destroying creatures at instant speed is just solid. The next card I like is Direfleet Ravager. This at one point in time was $3, and now it's down to around 30 cents. I like effects that just knock off people's life totals because, number one, there's cool synergies that you can do with this because that damage, that's loss of life, and you can play with that with other effects that maybe double the loss of life or things like that. It could be really cool. But also just aggressive decks. If you lower everyone's life total, it means that aggressive decks have a little bit of more of a chance to get things done. Speaking of aggressive decks, Curse of Opulence. This had risen to around $11. Gosh, so much for this little curse, but it turned out to be really, really good. By the way, these are gold tokens and not treasure tokens, but we've realized the power of treasure. And the idea of just cursing someone and generating a gold or a treasure every single turn that you attack just turns out to be really good. This isn't super cheap, like I'd pick up 5 copies. It's $4 right now. So not something that I would, spec on heavily, but definitely something I'm gonna pick up a couple copies of because it's been so expensive in recent years. Another card I was thinking about was Hullbreak Horror. I don't have a copy of it. It was always so expensive, but maybe now with its reprint in the most recent Commander deck, maybe I can pick up a copy. But also it's been reprinted in a cool way in Innistrad Double Feature. And that set just has me so confused, especially about the pricing because of it. I mean, Hullbreak Horror looks cool, but I also like foils. One thing that really threw me back was I'm like, oh, cool. I can get a, black and white Hullbreak Horror for $5.50, something like that. And of course I love foils. So I went and looked at the foil price, $65. It's like, I don't understand the print run or the supply demand of this set, but I'm not going to spend $65 on a foil Hullbreak Horror, but maybe I'll get a normal black and white double feature. I don't know. Looking at the double features and looking at specific foils, I think I might target a few foils. Like, for example, I think I really like Burn Down the House. Now, I know it's like a 50-cent card, but again, the foil version of the double feature is only $4 or $5. Even though that is still a lot, maybe I can just see how this treatment is and see if I like the foiling process on these black and white cards and take a card that I know I'll use. I really like Burn Down the House because it synergizes with token decks and token synergies. Every so often I'll play that card and I'll generate 3/4/4 angels and you feel really good. Or it synergizes with things like extra damage and Torbrand. Like Torbrand loves that so much. And also sometimes you just want to wipe the board. So I've actually really enjoyed those damage-based board wipes in red, and especially enjoyed them when I have an extra mode I can play. All right, the next card I'm interested in is out of left field. It's Druid's Call. It's Druid's Call. This is also at an all-time low because it was $8, but the list price kept coming down and down. It was reprinted on the list, and now I can get a copy for, $4.50. And I think I'm going to pick up one because this is a very interesting effect. If you've ever played like Hornet's Nest or Boros Reckoner or those kind of stop hitting yourself style decks, they can be really, really fun. And I like this ability to, play Druid's Call on something and then cast a Star of Extinction and get 20 squirrels. Like that is such a commander thing to do. I love it. The way I'm torn, the list card is the cheapest, $4.50. But I can get a foil Odyssey version for 10 times as much, around $46. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the list version at $4.50. All right, a lot of the times I like to spend money on flashy, cool cards, but what I should really be doing is making sure that I have the proper mana bases in my commander decks that exist. And so I'm going to go back and take a look at the lands that enter the battlefield untapped if you control 2 or more other lands, from Innistrad Midnight Hunt specifically. I'm looking at Overgrown Farmland because it looks the coolest. And the reason I like this one is because you can get the full art version, the one I'm showing right now, for only 50 cents more than just the plain old boring version. And even the foil, full art version is only a couple dollars more than the other full art version. So I feel like I'm getting a deal when I can get a foil promo one for only $3 more than the basic version. And I like that. So I'm going to pick up a couple copies of these and make sure that all my commander decks have the right mana base in them. So one other thing that I like to do is go back a couple of sets and pick up cards where the hype level might have dropped off and maybe the cards are at their sort of normal pricing. And so I'm going to look back at Kamigawa Neon Dynasty and see if I can pick up any cards I really want from that set. Actually, the cards that I really want haven't gotten cheaper. I really want some copies of Farewell, and I really want Boseiju and those other lands, specifically the cool full art versions, and they're kind of just as expensive as they were before. But there were a few other cards that I could target and that I wanted to spend the money on. Kodama of the West Tree is a really powerful card, and they have a full art version that's only 40 cents more than the normal version. So I think I'm going to pick up one of those. And also the cool sort of samurai treatment is only $2 or $3 more than the original version. So I might pick up one of those too. I mean, it is a mythic that I'm able to get for under $5, so I feel okay about that. I'm also going to pick up a couple copies of this promo Secluded Courtyard. I have a goblin deck, an angel deck, a dragon deck, and they could all really use this card. And so I'm going to find the cool version and put them in my decks. Final thing, I'm going to pick up the cool version of Lion Sash. I think this card is incredibly good, and this art looks spectacular. It's a shame that the foil version is more than double. It's $3 for this version, and it's $8.50. It's almost $9, triple for the foil version of this. But gosh, it looks so good. Did you know that Eater of Virtue is only 60 cents? Like 37 cents for a normal one. It's 60 cents for a cool looking one. Like I would pick up an Eater of Virtue. Just having equipment that comes down quickly and equips really easily can be really, really good in aggressive decks. I know it's not like as rawly powerful as a Sword of, but 60 cents, man. Ooh. All right, enough of Kamigawa. One other card that's, again, out of left field, it's a little bit weird that I'm picking up, is called Oppression. I've decided to get the Urza's Saga version. I think the art on it is crazy. Whenever a player casts a spell, that player discards a card. I have a couple decks that are going to operate on very low amount of cards and play around with playing cards from exile, kind of like a Prosper deck. And so I like the idea of Oppression, oppressing everyone and having me be able to dodge things a little bit better. Luckily, I like the Urza Saga art so much, I'm not tempted to get Oppression's 7th edition foil for over $500. No. And then finally, I'm getting a couple decks ready for the next Magic tournament I'm going to. That's Tier 1 Con in Malmo, Sweden. I'm going July 1st through the 3rd. If you're over in that area, I'd love to meet you, love to play some Commander against you. But one thing I'm doing is making a super budget deck for a jank tournament. One thing I picked up was a Kogla the Titanape, and I got it just below the threshold for the budget of cards for this Commander deck. And so I'm deciding whether I'm going to make a Kogla deck or just have it in the 99. But anyways, I picked up a copy because this Titanape is super good. And, now it's above that threshold, but for 90 cents, yeah, it's a powerful green card. One thing to put that into perspective, that the card is 90 cents, but the foil version is $1.20. So that seems like a good deal too. Remember, if you want to pick up some of these cards or just whatever cards you want to put in your card, check out Cool Stuff Inc. They've got great stuff, cool stuff even. And if I were you, I'd use the coupon code JUMBO5 because that would save you 5% on your order. I want to thank my patrons. They're amazing. They support this channel. Thank you, patrons. And thank you for watching. Hey, tell me in the comments down below what cards are in your cart right now and why haven't you pressed order so that they're on their way to your mailbox. All right, everyone. See you later. Bye. Hopefully I'll see you in Sweden. Bye, everyone.